They say your 20s are your best years, but what you rarely hear is how much your 20s are filled with mental health issues and challenges. You leave school, get out into the real world, the clock starts ticking, your fear of missing out starts hitting with a bunch of other fears and issues. But don't you worry, you're not alone, we're all in this together. Our 20-somethings really are side effects of becoming an adult. Today's 20-somethings, millennials, have higher levels of anxiety and depression than any other demographic group in history. And I myself have shared many of my struggles throughout the years of trying to figure this thing called being an adult out. Some of the many struggles we face in our 20s are burnout and stress, career anxiety, fear of loneliness, uncertainty, and wondering what's next, just to name a few. A lot of us can feel very out of control at this time in our lives, and a lot of us spend a lot of time worrying about the future when all we have control over is the here and now. I spent a year and a half in intensive therapy doing DBT to be precise. So today I thought I would share some skills that I learned in therapy that will help you take back the control when we often feel like everything is slipping through our fingers, and focus on the here and now and what we do have control over. It genuinely angers me so much that this kind of information is not taught in school and we're being taught the likes of goddamn algebra. But anyhow, before we dive into the skills, I would quickly just like to thank today's sponsor. So as we're all aware, it is Cyber Month and Fabletics are not making us wait around. They are giving us early access to the deals, which we absolutely love them for. So you can get early access to Cyber Month if you become a VIP member now, and you'll be able to secure your special welcome offer of 70% off absolutely everything. How freaking insane. With such an insane offer, it's the perfect time to stock up on some new gym fits or pick up some Christmas gifts for friends or family, or even if you just want to switch up your wardrobe a little bit for the new year. Fabletics loungewear sets are some of my absolute favourite. They're what I would typically wear on a day-to-day basis when I'm at home, and it makes such a difference having a little matching set on that makes you feel good in. I find myself I'm so much more productive when I am at home wearing something like this versus wearing mismatched, oversized 5-year-old pajamas. I'm sorry, but you need this cream set in your life. So these are the Pure Luxe leggings, and they have a crisscross at the top of the waistband, which makes them so freaking flattering. And I'm really sure this is a new style of sports bra that they're after bringing out, but it's reminding me so much of the Oasis Twist sports bra, which you guys know is my all-time favorite sports bra that Fabletics do. I feel like this color is so perfect for this time of the year, and it's so easy to mix and match with other colors because it's such a neutral. We also have this black velvet set, and this is going to be a love or hate for a lot of people, but it is a huge love for me. I am so in love with it. The top I would personally wear on a night out because it's just so cute. Like, it's not really giving me activewear vibes at all. Like, it's giving me I'm a 90s Spice baby, and I am so here for it. I just love how so many of Fabletics bits are able to be dressed in so many different ways. Again, with this black set, I feel like you can wear it in a couple of ways because we have this gorgeous detailing going on all at the top of the long sleeve and then down into the leggings as well. But I feel like you could wear this long sleeve top with like a pair of jeans or a nice pair of cargos or something because it does have a little bit of zoosh to it. I often get asked what kind of underwear I wear with my leggings because you're never able to see my underwear through my leggings, but I wear seamless thongs and you're able to get a variety of them over on Fabletics website. But these are so stretchy as well, girls. Like, I can't express to you, these are the best seamless underwear I have come across because a lot of the time they don't have this stretch to them. I can't stand a thong that is leaving indents when you take them off at the end of the day. We are not here for that. If you're unsure about what you want to get, I couldn't recommend their puffer coats enough. I have them in a variety of colours. They're so warm, they go with so much, and they're such an essential for this time of the year, as well as their underwear. I feel like it's such an essential. If you're looking for some leggings, I can't recommend the Motion 365 or the Trinity if you're looking for a compressive legging. If you're looking for something that's not that compressive and is more comfortable, I'd go with the Pure Luxe or the Seamless. They're my 4 favourite kind of leggings. There will be a link down below, my darlings. I wouldn't miss this offer. If you've been thinking about getting Fabletics for a while, this is your chance to do so. It's such an insane saving. So the first skill we're going to talk about today is opposite to emotion action. So opposite to emotion action is used for changing painful emotions. Something that we experience a lot of in our 20s as we are finding ourselves in life life situations that we haven't otherwise found ourselves in, and we have to learn how to manage our emotions, which is very difficult when it's something that we weren't taught from a young age. The idea behind opposite action is that it can help you deal with distressing emotions by putting into motion an action that is helpful rather than harmful. For example, if you are angry, there are many things that you might do to express your angry feelings. But if the action you take is one that is opposite to the emotion that you're feeling, for example, walking away from a situation when you're angry or distracting yourself with something nice, then you've put your energy into something that is eventually going to make you feel better. In this example, you've not only reversed your action, walking away instead of yelling at someone, but you've also began to make a change in your angry feelings. You didn't escalate or heighten your feelings, but you did something to make the feelings decrease by putting something positive in their place. It's really important to note that this skill is not about suppressing your emotions whatsoever. None of this is about suppressing our emotions. The kinds of situations it's appropriate to use this technique is in situations where your emotions might not be realistic to the situation you're in, maybe a little bit out of proportion, or just emotions that you genuinely want to challenge or change. For example, if you're feeling really depressed and you're feeling like no one wants to be around you and it's better off if you just stay in bed, an action that is opposite to this emotion would be getting up and doing something. You could go for a walk, visit a friend, go to the shop, go to therapy. You are not denying your emotion, but you are challenging it by acting opposite to it. Instead of staying at home and staying in bed, you still got up and went out. You might not see big changes, but you will gradually, little by little, see changes in the way you feel. Right, let's go over some examples. So when it comes to fear and us wanting to act opposite to it, we have to do what we're afraid of doing over and over and over again. This is very like exposure therapy, which some of you may be familiar with, but you need to approach events, places, situations, people that you are afraid of, putting yourself in them situations where you're feeling fear. Doing this over time will really give yourself a sense of control and a sense of mastery. If you're feeling overwhelmed, do out a list of small steps or small tasks you can take and just start with the first one. Now let's touch on shame. So much like fear, shame requires exposure. Shame makes you feel like you've done something inappropriate and that you yourself are wrong. The best cure for shame is bringing what shames you into the light. Do what makes you feel ashamed again instead of avoiding it. For example, I know an area a lot of people feel shame around is masturbating. If that is an area you struggle with, instead of avoiding masturbating, bring it into the light and do it until that shame is no longer with you. Now let's touch on sadness, one that I struggle with a lot. Feeling sad can make you want to avoid people and activities, but instead approach these situations. Go for that coffee date with your friend, do those dishes, pick them clothes up off the floor, put that washing on, do that hobby, book that appointment that you've been promising yourself you were going to do for ages. Do things that will make you feel competent and self-confident. It's all about small steps, and as soon as we begin and we do it again, it will give us a sense of mastery and like we are capable. And that's really what we need a lot of the time, that we are able to do this. We just have to start with the really little baby steps. The last emotion we're going to touch on here is anger. So if you're feeling angry, gently avoid the person you are angry with rather than attacking them, even though attacking is what we as humans often want to go for first. Try and do something nice instead of mean. Try and imagine sympathy and empathy for the other person instead of blame. Try putting yourself in their shoes, trying to see the situation in a different light, you know. Anger especially, it very rarely benefits us, so opposite emotion can be really helpful when it comes to anger, as there are much better ways in which we can express our anger. And a lot of the time, if we take a minute or an hour to bring our emotion down, then we can approach the situation instead of escalating it, which is what often happens when anger is brought into it. So the next skill we're going to talk about is building positive experiences. Increasing positive emotions is crucial to building a life worth living, which is essentially what DBT is all about. DBT teaches you how to cope with negative emotions and encourages you to collect positive ones. It's so important to note here that building up positive emotions does not invalidate the negative emotions that you feel. It's a way of expanding understanding your experiences and providing alternatives to difficult times. So you can build positive emotional experiences in two ways, so short-term experiences and long-term experiences. Short-term positive experiences are something like going for food in your favourite restaurant, calling a friend, watching your favourite show, taking a walk in the park. You probably already do something like this in your life. Don't change what you're doing, just do more of it. Doing pleasant things gives you positive emotions, and you deserve positive emotions even in the midst of all the turmoil that is this thing called life. By doing this, it will get you in the habit of feeling positive feelings. I'm going to add in a little list here of some short-term experiences that we can do to build up positive emotions, but what it's recommended and what I did in therapy is for a period of time, pick one every single day. Even tell yourself for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to do one short-term experience every single day, and just see how that builds up for you and them little changes that it will bring in how you're feeling within you. So in addition to having short-term pleasant experiences, we also want to make changes and do things that will make positive events happen more often. Marsha Linehan, the creator of DBT, often speaks about creating a life worth living, and this is part of what makes a life worth living. So this is where we ask ourselves, what is something you could do more of that will make your life more worth living in the long term? If you're going to school or you're planning on going to school, you have a plan there and you're working towards a goal. For some people, their job may be a goal in itself or preparation towards something. For example, maybe they want a higher role or a better paying job, but essentially they are still working towards that goal as they are going in the right direction. Maybe you would like to move into your own apartment or start a therapy program, or maybe you want to live in the city or the country. Maybe you want to learn a skill or a craft or take up horse riding lessons or art lessons or swimming lessons. Maybe you want to visit a friend. Maybe there's a family member in another country you want to see. Maybe you want to buy a car. The possibilities here are endless. It's asking yourself, what do I want in the long term? You need to think about what you would like to make your life more pleasant in the long term. And then you want to make a list of the actions that you can take to make this happen. Once you make your list, you want to break it down into really small steps. One that you can take a step towards. For example, if it is, I am very sorry about that, that is rude, but if you want to start therapy, for example, right, and you have a whole list of things you need to do to get into a therapy program, the first tiny step is go on Google and look up therapists near me. That is your first step, you know. And when I was wanting to move out of home, you know, the first tiny little step I had to start was saving X amount of money each week. You know, we're starting really small here. And then ask yourself how you feel, because as soon as you take that first step, it's going to give you a bit of confidence. It's going to make you feel like, I can actually do this, because you're doing it in such tiny little steps. What we often do, and something that so many of us in our 20s do, you know, we're looking at the whole picture. So we're like, I want to buy a house, I want to buy a car, I want to meet a partner, I want to have a child, I want to advance in my career, I want to make new friends, I want to travel the world. And it's just like, insanity, absolute insanity. Whereas if we take each area and really break that down, it shows us that it's a lot more manageable than it does feel when we're just thinking about the big picture in our head. Now we're going to move on to radical acceptance. Now, radical acceptance is one of the most effective and most difficult DBT skill there is. To use this skill successfully, you have to accept the entire situation as it is with no judgment. You cannot fight reality with this skill. And obviously, given the severity of the situation, this can be extremely challenging. If you are asked to radically accept something, you will often resist, thinking that there has to be an easier option. So when faced with a painful problem, we always have 4 paths that we can take. Number 1, if possible, you can try to solve the problem. Number 2, you can potentially change how you feel about the problem. Number 3, you can accept your situation. Or number 4, you can do nothing and stay miserable. And I feel like the other 2 skills that I shared kind of cover 1 and 2, you know, changing how we feel and trying to solve the problem if there is one. For each situation you find yourself in, you can run through this list and consider each option. The first 3 are viable options that are going to make you feel better. And the 4th, though it offers no room for improvement, It is a lot more common than we may think. If you're being honest with yourself, how many times have you complained about a situation only to do nothing to change that situation? We can all relate to this. We're only goddamn human at the end of the day. And even though number 4, it requires the least amount of work because we don't have to do anything, but it also offers no reward for us. Radical acceptance is the 3rd choice on the list, and it is accepting whatever situation you find yourself in. Radical acceptance must be just that. Radical, which means total and complete. The whole situation. It is what it is. It is what it is the mantra of radical acceptance. It is a saying that we are all so familiar with. By repeating and believing this statement, you are releasing your expectations and your judgments of what happened. It's essentially turning to the universe and saying, okay, this is what you've given me, and that's okay. I accept it. I fully accept it. It is so important here to note that radical acceptance is not agreement and it is not approval of the situation. It is you letting go of what happened so you can move on with your life. This is to benefit you. It's not to benefit anybody else. And it's not you saying that that's okay, you know, whatever the situation is, you're not approving of what happened. This is for you. Consider all the little things that get you down in the day. Maybe you spilled your coffee all over yourself. Maybe the line in the shop was incredibly long. Maybe someone took the parking space that you were heading for. These things happened and they made you angry and you continue to think about them for hours. But what could that energy have been used on instead? If you had have radically accepted those little hiccups as they are, you could have freed up your soul to consider more pleasant or effective things that would have ultimately changed the course of your day. Next time something happens, try and take a step back, take a deep breath and think it is what it is. Accept whatever convenience happened to you. It's so important here that we don't judge the emotions it created. Try and go, oh well, and move on. This practice can prevent so much daily suffering. As I said, when you choose to radically accept something, that does not mean you approve of it. It can still be unjust, but you are choosing to do what is most effective for you. There are so many big and small things in our lives that we have no control over. So that's where radical acceptance really comes into play. Like even, you know, I gave you a few smaller examples, but for me personally, even like, as you guys know, I lost my little dog this year in February. I had her for 14 years since I was the age of 10, got her for my 10th birthday. And you know, I spent a long time grieving. I still am grieving, but it got to a stage where I feel like I was in denial that she was gone. And I had to just radically accept that she's no longer here. That doesn't take away my emotions of the situation. You know, I still cry about it and I still get upset, but I have radically accepted that she's no longer here, you know, and I have no control over the fact that she died. You know, she was old, she was 14. But instead I could have spent years in denial of it, instead of radically accepting it. When radically accepting it is what's in my best interest to fully heal and come through it, you know, wholeheartedly. There's a reason why it is the most difficult skill, because it is so difficult. The first time I learned this in therapy, I literally sat there and thought, what a load of shit. Like literally, how do you expect me to do that? Like if I could have done that, I would have done it. Are you insane? But it really comes down to it, like practicing with those really small minor inconvenience in our lives. I'm sure we can all relate on, we don't even know how many times something so minor happened at the beginning of the day, a minor inconvenience, and it throws your whole day off, you know? And that's us losing our power and losing our control, when really we do have so much power and so much control. And this stuff is just so vital in our 20s, because we're constantly coming up against situations, feelings, people, you know, we're having so many firsts, and we're trying to navigate each situation as we find ourselves in it. Like even that, you know, Lady was my first animal, was my first time losing an animal, and it was so freaking difficult, you know? So in our 20s, we find ourselves often in situations we haven't found ourselves at in other stages of our lives. And it's all about having the right skills and tools and putting them small practices in each day, so we're building up that strength within us that builds mastery and makes us feel capable and confident in, you know, handling the situation, or that we can get through it. Our 20s are fucking hard, but we can do it. We are capable and we can get through it, and we are all in this together. No matter how lone you feel, girl, we're all struggling as much as the next. I really hope you learned something today and you found this video helpful, because these are skills that I find so freaking valuable in my life, and I really wanted to share them with you guys, as I know not everybody has access to therapy and they don't teach us the right goddamn information that we should be taught in school. It really angers me, like, ugh. And don't forget that if you sign up to become a VIP member, you can get 70% off everything on site, so I will leave a little link down below, my darlings. But thank you so much for watching today. I appreciate you all so freaking much, and I love you all from the bottom of my heart, and I cannot express that enough. But I will see you all in my next video. Take care, and I love you all so very much. Bye bye, friends.